What is happening? You know, I feel like the markets are duping people again, so let's take a look and see what's happening. Just a full disclosure, I do believe that the current economic actions are 100% going to push the country into a recession. And I believe that's kind of formulating as we speak right now. And that's why you could potentially be seeing a bottom in the 10-year yield, or shall I say a top, a bottom in TLT. Now, if you're not familiar with TLT, TLT is an ETF that trades basically long-term treasuries. Then there's TBT. TBT is the same direction as the yield. So I guess you could say that other one's long treasuries. Short the yield, same thing. But this is TBT right here. This is the inverse of TLT, and I don't really watch it that much because it doesn't have a ton of volume. I always watch TLT and I scrub that against the 10-year. But anyways, let me show you something here real quick. So I locked all of my loans when I started seeing the 10-year. So I saw the 10-year, it basically looked like it was obvious it was gonna break through this channel here. Now, I've been looking at charts for at least 20 years, and I'm talking about not just glancing at charts, going home and looking at them for 8 hours straight and trying to figure out patterns, and that went on for years and years and years. But anyways, when I saw that happening, what I did is I went and I locked everything I possibly could because I just didn't like that pattern that was coming up. So here's the 10-year. I think it was this chart. This one, no, there we go. So this was the chart right here that I looked at. So you can see how clearly defined this channel is. These are parallel lines. It's more defined on the top, but you have the top here, resistance, comes back down. Test the bottom of the channel, comes back up. A clear rejection right here. You can't be more precise. And then another clear rejection here, 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 and then this is when, once it took out this top right here, it was about right here that I locked, because there was no doubt in my mind that this thing was going to not only break this trend line, but then break this top right here for May 5th, which that technically makes it a breakout right there, right? So it broke that top and now it worked its way up. And I had a feeling, which was right in that post, that said it's going to increase 20 to 30 basis points from 4.37, and it went up to 4.62. So that was about 35 basis points. Either way, now yes, we have a clear channel break here, but the 10-year yield is starting to get overbought, and it still has so much resistance right around here. So resistance, resistance, resistance. There's a lot of buying of treasuries right in this area, right around the 4.5, 4.6 mark. Now, why would people be buying treasuries? Well, treasuries are usually a safe haven. And like I said when I started the video, I'm convinced we will be in a recession soon, if we're not already. Obviously, different classes feel different things. But anyways, let's go back to this chart here. So you have the 10-year, but let's go back to the TLT chart. So TLT is a very accurate indicator of rates, but this is what triggered my desire to lock. So this purple line right here, it was higher than its previous low that it made on December of 2022. So because that line was holding above this, and that's a very, very strong, reliable double bottom sign, but it was holding above it. And then on whatever day it was I locked, which was May 8th, it started dipping below this support line here. Now that negates that strong signal of a double bottom. And that combined with the break on the 10-year of the downtrend line was the icing on the cake for a move that was happening before my very eyes. And that's why I locked. But I think that move may have worked its way out now, right? So if you don't pay attention, we've had a debt downgrade on Friday. And then if you look in the past as to when that happened previously, I want to say 2010, but I'm not certain. Initially, rates, I think they went up a little bit, but then the 10-year collapsed and rates went down pretty significantly. So, we're still the safest debt in the world. I read an article that there's a new name, I think it's like anything but USA. ABUSA is like the new investing theme, which is anything but USA. I guess world stock markets made an all-time high, but the United States, though we did recoup the drop from Liberation Day, there's no new highs in the markets here. In fact, they could be just retesting those highs and possibly potentially working their way back down. Obviously too early to tell at this point, but the signs are there. Regardless though, we have TLT. Is it actually going to be reversing? Well, let's see here. On a daily chart right here, this morning, this entire candle was below. It was a doji. If you know anything about technical analysis or candlestick trading, a doji is basically like it's a signal of indecision. But when you have a doji that is outside of these bands here, which is called a Bollinger Band, and you have a oversold stochastic, which is what we have here, and sitting at support, which is this support here and almost to the bottom here, that's a pretty good sign of a reversal. Now, there's not much data coming out right now, but we don't really need data because we have news. And the news that's really been driving the markets recently has been the tax bill, the big beautiful bill, because it's not going to help the deficit. And that is what's worrying the bond market. And at the same time, perception of the United States and respect for our country, I don't know if it's diminishing, but I read a lot and I don't really think the shitting on other countries and allies was a good thing, but maybe it's all a ploy, I don't know. Either way, I do think there's a reversal coming potentially in the 10-year very soon, and I do believe it's going to be basically in protection of a slower economy that's coming. Now, I do think rates will go lower. I don't know how much lower, but we still need more signs that this is an official bottom and then that it's an actual potential double bottom, which is a reversal. But anyways, if you're thinking about buying or selling, or if you're a mortgage broker or someone just watching this video and you actually made it this far, just keep in mind that, don't listen to the mainstream media BS. Don't listen to people who are fearful, because fear is BS. Technical analysis on charts is always the most accurate way to cut through the bullshit that you see in news and media, because the charts here show information and it shows emotion, and you can almost write the news articles before they happen if you know what you're looking at. So this is what you have here, quick video, and I hope you guys liked it.